Hey y'all, welcome back to your culinary arts class. I'm, as always, Chef TKO. Again, we're gonna be in my kitchen for a change. And if you saw the last video, we went ahead and talked about our basic roux, okay? We talked about our white, our blonde, and our brown roux, okay? So in the last one, we talked about a white roux and how that is made for bechamel sauce, right? Which is one of the mother sauces, okay? And when we move into a blonde roux, that's gonna be for our veloute sauce. But today, as you guessed it, the first mother sauce that we're going to go ahead and talk about is going to be bechamel, okay? So that being said, what are the primary ingredients for a bechamel sauce? That is going to be your equal parts fat, equal parts flour, which is going to be your roux, okay? Then we're going to go in with milk, or we could go in with heavy whipping cream, but today we're going to go in with whole milk, all right? And then we're going to go ahead and season it to taste, and we're going to leave it, all right? Now, after we leave it, I'm going to go ahead and hold that over, because then what are we going to make Wednesday or Thursday as a secondary sauce? We're going to make a Mornay sauce. And what sauce is that used for? That's used for your traditional macaroni and cheese, okay? Like I said in the last video, that's my favorite. So I'm going to take this one to heart because I want it to be right, okay? Now, that being said, I'm going to go ahead and move over to our second screen. And you will already notice I've got everything sanitized. I've got my sanitizer right here. All right. I've got my towels over here. My hands are clean. Right. So when we talked about our roux, we've got our butter. We also have our flour. Okay. So equal parts, equal parts. This is a lot of flour here. I've got 1 tablespoon of butter. And then what I'll do is probably use about 1/4 of a cup of our flour to go ahead and make our roux right over here. All right. Now from there, once we go ahead and cook that, we will then pour about 1 cup of milk. I've got the milk right here. We'll pour that right in. We're going to bring that up to 180 degrees to simmer, and we'll bring it right back down. And then we're going to go ahead and hold it, okay? So the first thing that I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to take my 1 tablespoon of butter, and I'm going to put that right over into our saucepan, our stock pot, our sauce pot, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to turn that on. Please be very careful. When you are using one of these, it is a high flame. We want to turn that right down, and we're going to melt that very slowly, okay? So you will see that the butter is right in there. And I'm going to go ahead and melt that down, all right? Now, from there, once this is melted, I'm going to keep this at a white roux. And then we will go ahead and add our flour. I'm sorry, a white roux. Because we've got to add our flour with that. Does anyone know how to spell roux? Do you know how to spell roux? R-O-U-X. All right. The X is cylinder. And where does roux come from? It's French, right? So you can definitely thank the French for a lot of our culinary terms, especially our brigade system. You can definitely thank Escoffier himself. If it was not for him, we would not have our brigade system. Do you know what a brigade system is?
Where they line up and go into one does one part and the other one does another?
Absolutely, you are correct. So it's the reason our line cook, we've got our garde-manger, which does our cold stuff, which is our salads, our ice sculptures, for instance, right? All right. You'll notice that everything is melted, right? So the next thing that I'm going to go ahead and do, and right now we want to work a little bit fast, okay? I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of flour at a time. And I'm going to go ahead and stir that and incorporate that fully, okay? And when I'm done stirring this in, I will go ahead and show you what the final product will look like. Less is more, always. Again, if you are working with a Bunsen burner, please make sure that your safety is first. I'm always about accuracy, never about speed. I would much rather not lose any phalanges today, nor light my own house on fire, right? So I'm going to go ahead and turn this off really quickly because I'm really not trying to cook my wood. Well, there goes that. All right, now from there, you will go ahead and see that I went ahead and made this roux a little bit thinner, okay? So from there, what I'm gonna go ahead and do, right back on. And I'm gonna go ahead and pour, I've got 2 cups here, I'm gonna go ahead and pour about a cup in, All right. I'd say that's about a cup, right? Now I'm going to turn this on medium-high heat, and I'm going to watch this very closely, making sure that I'm always stirring. Why am I always stirring it? I'm stirring it so that nothing gets clumped on the sides, so that the roux is fully incorporated into our bechamel sauce. I'm only doing a little bit at a time. The only reason is because I don't want to make a whole lot of sauce when I'm going to be creating a whole bowl of it later on, right? Now, you will see that I now honestly have, everything kind of fully incorporated. One thing you really want to do is make sure you really get into all those sides. The type of whisk that I am using today is going to be a French whisk, and you'll see that little tip right here. This is really, really good at getting right in the middle now, or right in the divots of the actual saucepan. What is a negative thing about always having to stir? Well, since we're working on aluminum, one of the negative aspects is going to be that it will turn our actual white sauce to a grayish color. We really don't want that. So when you are stirring it, please make sure that you are stirring very lightly and you're just lightly incorporating it, okay? Because we do not want to turn this beautiful white sauce into anything gray or anything other than what it should actually look like. All right, so all I'm doing right now is I'm waiting for it to go ahead and come up to temperature while I'm scraping everything right off the sides. And you will notice, I'm going to go ahead and take this right off. I'm going to turn the flame down right a little bit. And you'll see that everything is fully incorporated, all right? Now, you can already start to see a little bit of that thickening, okay? Now, what kind of sauce does this remind you of? A gravy, right? So I'm already starting to tell the thickness is coming around, okay? So, and one thing that you can definitely see is that the bubbles are starting around the sides, right? And I'm gonna point that out right there, you'll see that. Now, once the bubbles start right in the middle, that's when we should go ahead and turn it down, okay? Now, one thing to also look for is with the bubbles, when they start popping very slowly is when it's right. Now, you will notice that I am almost at this desired thickness. I've already brought it up to 180 degrees because I know why. My bubbles are very big and very prominent, okay? Now see if you can see those bubbles pop. Those bubbles are popping, okay? Now, let me ask you a question. What were to happen if I accidentally made my sauce way too thick? What could I do? Well, add more milk, right? Or what if it's way too thin? What could I do? Incorrect. Honestly, I'm sorry. What we should honestly do is go ahead and make another roux and then go ahead and pour this actual sauce right into the next roux that we made, okay? So you will see that that has definitely thickened up. Would you say so? All right. So now when we flavor a bechamel, what kind of pepper should we use? White. And why is that? Exactly. We strive so hard to keep this actual sauce to stay this color. I'm going to go ahead and add a few pinches of our seasoning. And you will now notice that our bechamel is done. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and plate this for y'all. Exactly the way that I would expect it to be plated for me, right? So of course, keep our station clean. Now what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and take this. I'm going to place this right here. And I'm going to go ahead and get a really nice small ladle. And I'm going to take this beautiful bechamel and I'm going to plate it right over the top. All right. Can you tell that consistency? Do you see how it's very thick? That is the consistency that we're looking for. Now, one thing that you can always tell is, let's say that this is a spoon, we want to make sure that the actual sauce is, in French terms, considered nappe. Now, chef, what does that mean? Well, that means if you go ahead and take this in and you pull it up, you will actually see the little peaks right at the bottom. When it coats the back of the spoon, or for this case, the actual knife, then that is considered nappe, and that is exactly what we're looking for, okay? I would honestly say that we executed this bechamel very well. All right, stay tuned. The next sauce that we're gonna be doing is gonna be our veloute sauce. All right, we'll see y'all soon.